I don't want to even entertain the taco when it comes to going to war with Iran and potentially kickstarting World War III. Okay, I mean, that's like I know we say like haha taco Trump, but like low key, it's good. I hope he chickens out of this. Okay, this is good for the entire planet. He chickens out of this. This is good for the planet. All right, we don't want this. We don't want this. Nobody wants this. You don't want this. Let's be real. Yeah, don't say Trump always chickens out. What are you, Chuck Schumer? You know, Chuck Schumer is like, Mr. President, if you don't tell us if you're doing a side deal with Iran to not bomb them, that's kind of lame. What are you, gay? Well, Taco Trump. I hate this. I hate it. All right, let's get started. First and foremost, also, do we have the playlist? Why would Trump sending troops to Iran trigger World War III? I mean, listen, World War III is where battle lines are defined in one pole of the world, one plank of the world being China and the other one being America. Clearly, all of the Western liberal nations are on board with American dominance and the continuation of American dominance. They like it. They totally are on board with it. They want it. They also are very bloodthirsty. Shouts out to the Germans, especially. Germans are baying for blood, it feels like. I would have never thought in my lifetime that I would see the Germans that post World War II that like seemingly were pacified. They were like polite versions of the Nazis that they used to be. Turn around and start talking about in the lamest and nerdiest ways, like we must immediately go into war with Iran. Yeah, this is very important. This is the most important thing. Also, we hate that there are so many refugees in our country as a consequence of America's destabilization in the region. But also, we love the blood. We love the bloodshed. I'm Israel Chai. Yeah. I love the bloodshed. I want the murder. I want the murders. We need the murders. We love it. We love it. I love being the liberal and doing the murders all over. Yeah. Oh, meine Industrie. Yeah. Friedrich Merz said Israel is doing the dirty work for the West in an interview today. No, I know. That's what I'm referencing. Yeah, Israel is doing the dirty work for the West. It's defending the West. Yeah. It's crazy. It's like, bro, know your place. Like, it hasn't even been 100 years since you did the Holocaust, man. Why are you so excited to do Holocaust 2? I mean, you already are watching a Holocaust 2 unfold and you're defending it, but you also like directly want your hands to be bloodied. Right now it's indirectly bloodied, but you're like, I want the hands to have the more blood. I love it. Anyway, that's where we're at with the world. But the reason why it's going to turn into World War III is because, again, Iran is a deeply important strategic asset, both for oil and energy production for China, but also a stabilizing force in the region for Chinese interests, as opposed to the rest of the region that is completely dominated and servile to American interests. So they don't want... I don't think that China wants Iran to fall by the wayside and turn into another like Syria situation, right? Because what happened to Syria and how Syria falling was consequential for Iran, and Iran falling would be consequential for China. This is why I think it's like a World War III style situation. MSM really isn't talking about the potential for China's involvement because China is the most restrained and the most like cold, calculated, pragmatic country out there to a fault. They got crazy weapons too. They got good tech, crazy weapons. Time to defend your assets. You know what I mean? That's what I think. But in any case, Donald Trump has been going nutty mode, talking big shit on the timeline. And that's obviously what we're going to start off with today, because that's just the way politics runs nowadays. As you know, yesterday he urged the evacuation of Tehran, which is an incredibly large city. I believe it's like by some estimates, people say like there's like 12 million people. Some people say even more. There's in the greater metropolitan area, there's like at least 9 million people. You are not going to be able to evacuate 9 million, 15 million in the metro area. You're just not going to be able to do that. And people have been locked in. Some people have already started moving out of Tehran, and there's nowhere to really go. Because where are you supposed to go? They don't have gas. Israel hit the largest oil depot in Tehran already. So people are having a hard time getting gas, and people are having a hard time leaving the city to begin with. And Donald Trump is over here making threats like he's going to assassinate every single person. Like they're just going to drop a nuke on Tehran or something. It's so psychotic. It's so insane. Like Americans, we do not understand this feeling. We will never understand this feeling because there is no force as powerful and as like there's no force on the planet that can threaten us in the same exact way. Not even China cannot, at least right now, cannot threaten us in the exact same way, where they've like designed the entire rules of warfare and international rules and law and order to suit their purpose and can strike and do genocidal things with impunity. Like there's no comparison, which is why we can't comprehend what it's like to have like normal people have no say in what happens in their own lives. Something that Donald Trump might be saying simply because he thinks it gives him an upper hand in this negotiations process is ultimately so consequential for millions of people. It's terrifying. I hope you guys can maybe close your eyes for a brief moment and recognize the humanity of the Iranian people and recognize how devastating this kind of statement is without simply talking about how big, bold, and brave and beautiful our big, beautiful president is. Because like a lot of Americans are so callous in their indifference to dignity, to the dignity of human life when it's overseas, when it's supposedly a civilian population of a foreign adversary, you know? All Iran had to do was not build nukes, though. Not justifying this, but their government isn't innocent either. You're a idiot. First of all, Iran hasn't built nukes. They should have built nukes. They literally should have built nukes, because if Iran had built nukes, Donald Trump couldn't say, Tehran, clear out. So ironically, it is actually the government's incompetence, I would say, that has caused them to try and play ball with America and play ball with the Western world over and over again, as the Western world has slapped them around. Can Donald Trump tweet out, Moscow, clear out? No, obviously not. And Moscow and Russia has done a metric ton of damage to Ukraine. So why can't Donald Trump say, hey, Kremlin, clear out? Why can't they say, hey, DPRK, clear out? Pyongyang, clear out? Why can't they say that? Oh, that's right, because they have nukes. Okay? That's it. You got to have nukes. If you want to have sovereignty outside of the sphere of NATO influence, outside the sphere, the protective banner of the West. And by the way, ironically, when you are in the NATO protective banner, you don't have any sovereignty. Look at Turkey. Okay? You got nothing. So yeah, it actually is an issue for Iran that they don't have nukes. They should have. They should have. If they did, the region would be more stable. Yeah, they have no nukes. They've been 3 years away for 35 years because they're not building them. Anyone who's buying this narrative is either politically illiterate or one of the new age conservative Zoomers too young to know the history. I know. Iran has been 3 seconds to midnight on the nuke stuff for the past 35 years, chatters. If they wanted to make them, they could have. You think the DPRK you think that the Democratic People's Republic of Korea were able to literally withstand a famine in the process, like one of the most devastating famines of all time, and then at the same time develop a nuclear program and engage in the enrichment of uranium before Iran could? Do you know how connected Iran is to the rest of the world as opposed to the DPRK? Do you know how, Iran has colleges, academics, people that actually, regardless of the government being treated as a foreign adversary, people, free travel all around the world, espionage capabilities. If Iran wanted to make nukes, they would have made them by now. And honestly, they probably should have made them by now. I think a lot of people are maybe too young or too oblivious to the reality of how this like nuclear proliferation conversation has gone on. When a country, like, I mean, I joke, there's the Hasan doctrine, but it's a joke, but it's also real. Okay, what do I always say for nation building? The Hasan doctrine for nation building. We joke, we present it as a meme, but like it's real, right? Rule number 1, get nukes. Rule number 2, never give up the nukes. Rule number 3, if Western powers claim you have nukes, drop everything and get nukes immediately. Because once they say you have nukes, even if you don't have them, if you don't ever get them, that means they're just going to destroy you. Ukraine is a great example of a country that gave up its nukes. Look at what's going on with Ukraine. Libya is a country that cast aside any sort of like ambition for nuclear proliferation, and America still claimed that they had nukes, and they didn't. And look at Libya now. Iraq, WMDs. Oh, they have yellow cake, enriched uranium, WMDs. We have to go in and we have to check it out. Iraq didn't have nukes. I say this as someone who is an advocate for denuclearization universally. I mean, nuclear power as an energy grid is fine. You guys have bullied me too much, and that's okay. I'm on board with nuclear power plants. But as far as like nuclear weapons goes, I'm anti-nuke. Okay, I think no one should have nukes. But as long as nuclear proliferation continues, and the West basically bullies every country that doesn't have nukes. Without any sort of scrutiny, without any sort of pushback whatsoever, you need nukes. All right, let's get to the State Department press briefing real quick. I believe it's starting soon, right? Here's what yellow cake press conference. Okay, stop. Actually, send me the State Department. I don't care about Jon Stewart's statement. Send me the link for the press department, please.
Not have a new Marco Rubio fact, as he has traveled the world working to implement President Trump's vision of peace and security. That statement has also been uttered from this podium many times. The fact that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon is clear. As the White House reminds us, since taking office, President Trump has clearly stated no fewer than a dozen times that Iran cannot be allowed to have a nuclear weapon, for anyone who's unclear on that fact. President Trump has made the same pledge no
Guys,
fewer
you don't
than
understand.
40
America
times
first and being a
before
peaceful
taking
dove
office.
actually
Even
meant
as far
doing the
back as
exact same thing that
2011.
previous administrations have done,
priorities of the
which
Trump
is to go to war with
administration's
Iran.
safety and security
America
of the
first
American
actually
people.
means doing a decapitation strike on the supreme leader of Iran. America first actually means like violating violating any sort of isolationist principle that we might have actually run a campaign on.
The task force is operating 24 hours a day. Over the past week, to help keep U.S. citizens informed, we have issued more than 30 security alerts to countries in the region and updated the travel advisories for Iraq and Israel. We remind U.S. citizens not to travel to Israel or Iraq and not to travel to Iran under any circumstances. We continue to monitor the complex and rapidly evolving situation on the ground as we continue to assess and address the needs of U.S. citizens. We urge all U.S. citizens to regularly visit travel.state.gov for the latest travel advisories and security updates, and to enroll in the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, also known as STEP, to receive timely alerts and guidance from the State Department. For Americans needing assistance, and there we have a bit of the website there for you, call +1 202 501 4444. That number again is +1 202 501 4444. If you're on that website, you can also click on that red box. It will take you to a page where you can search for the embassy of your interest, where you are, where you would like to connect to be able to get help from the embassy in the country where you are.
Yeah, unless you're in Israel, in which case the Israeli government doesn't want you to.
U.S. Embassy.
Yeah, I know Trump leaked Mike Huckabee's text message. I read this morning. What an insane screenshot. I didn't even know you could screenshot something this long. I don't know how Trump screenshotted this.
A rapidly evolving dynamic, but to conclude the topper here today, I want to recognize the State Department and other U.S. government teams around the world working under threat on behalf of the American people, particularly those in Israel and Ukraine, who spent another night sheltering in bunkers as they came under attack. Our priority is the safety of Americans overseas and here at home. It is the priority of Secretary Marco Rubio. It is the priority of everyone who works in this building, and the thousands of American citizens who work anonymously and whom you will never see, who are working in embassies and consulates around the world and working with those local nations to be there for American citizens and to help facilitate American diplomacy. Our priority is the safety of Americans, yes, here at home, but also overseas. We thank all of those working on behalf of the American people, all of you watching from home and from around the world. We thank you, and for everyone around the nation, we know and honor your work as we begin another briefing here, ready to take your questions. All right. Yes, sir.
Here we go.
Yes, hi,
By the way, notice how the State Department press briefings are damn near identical in their response to the previous State Department, regardless of how different things are.
It's going to help Americans potentially leave the
Okay.
region.
My goats are there.
Repatriated, or it is
Goat.
depending on the countries that they're in.
I guess
And,
Prem
any
is
more
Prem
detail
not
you can
there?
get on
I
that.
don't see him.
Right. Well,
I guess they revoked Zeteo's press credentials. This is live, yeah.
There is always things that I can't say to you. And yet we have a long back and forth. Sometimes we have a little bit of a debate. I won't engage in that today. My responses will be perhaps a bit quicker than usual, and I'll be moving around more quickly to reach as many of you as I can. There will be less than I can answer for you because of the circumstances that we're dealing with around the world. So it is, just want you to know it's not personal, but we're working on certain things like the task force as an example. The task force is a group of people who are working, taking the calls of people, of American citizens around the world, making sure that they get connected with what they may need in that region. I won't go into the details of all that the task forces do, of course, but it's about information, making sure people here at the State Department and people that we get the information we need, but also people around the world, American citizens, get directed to the information that they may need as well. So I'll leave it at that, but this is something that the State Department does when there's a situation that requires it, and this is one of those times.
Tammy, I'm sorry. Could I just ask
Sure,
about the
Matt,
phone
sure,
number?
of course.
The phone number that you get, if you call that number, which I can do right now, who do you get?
You get an individual who is
Task force, or?
no, you don't get the task force. That phone number is a general phone number. The task force is busy, but it is a separate unit that is established to take the calls to assist American citizens who call to the embassies. Particularly, you're going to be referred to embassies who can help you get what it is you need. So good question. Thank you, sir. All right. Yes, Andrea.
Just a quick question. There's some specific consular needs. One in particular that I'm aware of, and there may be more than one, is an American citizen in Iran, where there is no embassy, no consulate. Mm-hmm. Would that be the Swiss protectorate? Would there be other options? Is consular affairs give any advice as to what to do about Americans right now stuck in?
I can't speak to any
places?
advice or information regarding individuals in Iran at this point.
And what about American Israelis or Israeli Americans either wanting to come out or wanting to get back home? LL, I believe, has resumed flights in some small measure.
Why is
for
she
people who-
there?
You know, some people have kids in Israel and they were visiting the States.
Mm-hmm.
And they're American citizens. Is there anything that they can do? Where should they call this number?
Well, obviously, if you know, and we encourage every American when you travel, is to contact your local embassy.
Andrea Mitchell's is like a super high-level CNN commentator.
And that's what I would recommend, no
who
matter where you're traveling, but certainly in the Middle
normally
East,
would
is
not
know
play
where those,
the function
entities
of
are.
of a national security reporter, like a State Department reporter. But MSNBC. Sorry, MSNBC. So this is like, they don't send people like her normally to State Department briefings. It is quite bizarre that she's there. Yeah, she's married to Alan Greenspan. Like, this is like a super OG longtime reporter, solid track record. I wouldn't say solid track record, but like when you're a reporter and you get to the point of high level commentator, you don't actually sit through these press briefings. Okay, it's like, is Jake Tapper there? No. Do you understand what I mean? It's like sending Jake Tapper there. Someone said solid. Oh, she stepped down from anchor chair on MSNBC and is now a correspondent for NBC. She got demoted.
Well, I'm certainly not going to characterize what President Trump says or tweets.
Yeah, she's also, unsurprisingly, very pro-Israel. It's like sending Wolf Blitzer. Yeah. So like all these guys, obviously, at a certain point were, loyal little soldiers in the media that did like their quote unquote journalism. They did their reporting only to get elevated to the highest status. The highest status in the media is like when you become like a New York Times op-ed writer, or when you become, or when you basically become a commentator, like with your own show, with your name associated with it.
To stop peacefully through diplomacy. That has been his commitment. And he wants these things, as he said, about a number of situations, not for a month or 6 months, but durable ends to this nature of forever wars. And that has been his posture, and that's his posture now.
Okay, I have an easier follow-up.
Yes, ma'am.
How many people...
I'll take a hard one, too.
How many people so far have contacted U.S. missions in Israel or elsewhere, American citizens?
I'm losing my mind. Stop asking about American citizens being allowed to leave Israel. Oh my God. That is, sure, it's relevant, but it's the least relevant part of this. Please ask about what the administration is planning to do. Please prod some questions. Why are tankers moving into the region? Why are there bombers in the region? Does Donald Trump need congressional authorization? We know the answer, but at least it's important to have it on the record.
I know that our commitment is to the safety and security of Americans around the world. All right? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Tammy, would the U.S. government like to see a regime change in Iran?
First of all, I'm certainly not going to remotely address that. It would require me to speculate or speak on behalf of the president, which I will not do. What we've seen, though, is clear, is months and repeated statements that all he wants is a peaceful world. His activity and the nature of the action.
Yes, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. Everybody knows this. Israel wants regime change. America wants regime change. They want it. The point is, will they try to get it by doing a decapitation strike? Who will they actually try to put in the position of power? Will a decapitation strike be successful? Okay. All right. I'm cutting this. This briefing is so stupid. Okay. These press briefings are always bad. They are not designed to give you actual information. They're designed for the State Department to lie. And I just wanted to show you how the similarities are between like the previous one with, Matt Miller, who now considers what Israel's doing is war crimes or whatever, as opposed to what is going on currently. Yap Miller. Trump's desire to handle the escalating conflict in the Middle East diplomatically is waning. Officials familiar with the ongoing discussions tell CNN Trump is growing increasingly warm to using U.S. military assets to strike Iranian nuclear facilities. This is basically the same holding position, the holding pattern that we've been in. As I said yesterday, and I will keep repeating over and over again, the situation is basically identical to Iraq. Okay, it is identical to Iraq. We are at the precipice of a fake reason, fake justification, WMDs, fake pretext to go and wage war in an even larger country with an even more powerful military in mountainous territory that is basically designed geographically to be like a natural castle that will be incredibly costly in terms of human life and human casualties in Iran, first and foremost, and then also for American troops as well. This is Iraq War 2.0 coming from the guys who claimed that they were anti-neocon, coming from the administration that successfully ran and won, positioning themselves as antagonistic to the Iraq War. But this time it's different. That's where we're at. Now, I don't know. I don't know if they will continue along with this ambition or if they're just simply doing like the Trump madman doctrine, which has happened in the past as well with like Qasem Soleimani's assassination, for example. Trump does something absolutely insane that under normal conditions would be considered a severe violation of another country's sovereignty. But then there is not much response from said country, this time Iran again. And then they get back to the bargaining table or whatever. And the only reason why this has worked so far is because of the unimaginable power that America has in the region, unimaginable power it has in terms of like doing damage to the civilian population, and the lack of appetite from countries like Iran to kill their whole population, like throw their population in the field of fire under American munitions. That is the only thing that has stopped. Iran's restraint is the only thing that has stopped World War III from unfolding, and it's not because of the brilliant calculations of Donald Trump. It's almost identical to like the way that Kissinger operated, bullying all of these other smaller countries and just like brutalizing them over and over again, pummeling them, doing a ton of war crimes in Asia, knowing full well that there was no retaliation that America would ever meet. The only major difference between what's unfolding right now and 2003, however, is that there is one, no 9/11 component. Two, we're living in the post anti-Iraq war meta, where Americans like recognize the war on terror as being overwhelmingly a failure, right? And on top of that, I would say that we have tremendous economic instability, which I think plays a role in Americans not feeling as patriotic, or the Western world in general, not feeling as patriotic about their countries, like not feeling as though they are willing to go and serve in the military to like defend Western nations or whatever. It's like they can't pay rent. Why the fuck? Like most people, if you ask like Gen Z, they're like, "Oh, would you serve in the American military? Or would you serve in the British military?" And they're like, "I'm not gonna die for someone else's wars. Like, why would I do that? I can't even pay rent." And on top of that, there's tremendous enmity towards Israel. There's tremendous anger and resentment towards Israel in the public's eye. Politicians are united on defending Israel, but the American population even is not so united. It's one of the most common metas right now is like, I'm not dying for Israel. I'm not dying for Israel. That's like the rallying call of an entire generation. So when you look at that, when you look at the situation with deep economic volatility, deep uncertainties about people's futures, anger and resentment, and try to slap on a additional war that is even more costly than the previous wars that America is engaged in that are deeply unpopular, I don't know if Americans will be on board with this. I feel like this could potentially destabilize the entire Western world if implemented. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe America will find a way to nip this in the bud and have this like full-throated pro-war propaganda that they've been pummeling, that they've been pumping out on every outlet right now. They've been doing that. They've been doing that nonstop. If you notice, like CNN and New York Times is damn near identical with the way that you hear commentary from Fox News on this stuff. There are very few outspoken anti-war people out there. You got some crazies on the right. Some of the most like crazy MAGA people are coming out against it. But then also you got like the AOCs and the Thomas Massey and the Republican Party and the Bernie Sanderses of the Democrats that are coming out against it. But overall, Democrats and Republicans, especially at the highest levels of the party, are fully on board with escalating this conflict and moving in to Iran